named Richard Doty, who worked as an Air Force Office of Special Investigations inside Kirtland Air Force Base. This Richard Doty in 1980 began to disseminate, I would say, disinformation about the Dulce base because in 1979 and 1980 there was this businessman called Paul Benowitz who was living right next to the fence of that Manzano base. Paul Benowitz was doing business with Kirtland Air Force Base because he was a scientist and he was selling high quality calibration equipment to Kirtland Air Force Base. But in 1979 he was watching some strange lights hovering over the Manzano base. And Richard C. Doty at that time began notice that this guy was filming these lights. And so Richard Doty began to, contact Paul Benowitz and invited him to the base, and he began telling this Paul Benowitz that you shouldn't be filming this kind of stuff because there are more interesting things in northern New Mexico than this Kirtland Air Force Base. And he was referring to the alleged underground base in northern New Mexico, which was Dulce. And so that was the beginning of the Dulce story, according to some researchers. And one of the researchers is myself too, but there's truth to some of these things, and there's some disinformation to some of these things. So it's a very, very difficult thing to get into the truth of what's going on.
Right. Yeah, I've heard story. Didn't Richard Doty? Didn't he say that he was like a part of a fire team and there was like an alien attack under this Dulce base and they were all shot? He only survived, something like that.
No, you are talking about a totally different personality. Oh. You're talking about a personality named Phil Schneider.
That's right, Phil Schneider.
Yes, who claimed in 1995 that he was part of the team that was involved in construction of the Dulce base.
Yeah. But I was involved in building another base inside of Dulce, New Mexico, which is Los Alamos Laboratory. It's a biological laboratory. On the southwest part of the Archuleta Mesa, we built an underground facility, better part of 3 cubic miles, hollowed out underground.
But there's no absolute the definitive proof of what he was saying. Now, Phil Schneider in 1995 was going around the country giving lectures about how he was involved in the construction of the underground base, but it seemed like he got this notion from Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar in 1989 claimed that there was a firefight inside one of the U.S. bases, and he didn't really specify which base he was talking about, but Bob Lazar in 1989 said that he was told that there was an altercation between some strange entities and the U.S. paramilitary groups, and there was an altercation somewhere, and he didn't say if it was under Area 51 or under Dulce, but he said it took place in 1979. And so this story came around, and Phil Schneider apparently heard about it, and Phil Schneider cleverly, made himself one of the personalities in this Dulce thing by projecting himself as part of the protagonist in this whole story. But there's no proof to any of this.
Right.
Yet we cannot discount anything about Dulce because Dulce exists, the town exists, and the folks even today claim that they are still seeing some things that they can't understand, even as we speak.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question about these quote unquote aliens. I don't like the term alien personally, but and the reason why is because I think it lends itself to, you know, all the stuff that we've heard, like you said, since 1947. We've basically been trained to think that and accept the fact that, oh, there's going to be an alien invasion someday, or aliens are real and they're going to take over the world. Whatever it is, we've kind of been conditioned for it. I'm not sure that I believe in aliens as in aliens from another planet, galaxy, whatever. I'm not sure that I believe that. I tend to believe that they're more of a interdimensional being,
Exactly.
spiritual in some way, shape, or form. But that's my opinion based upon things that I am into. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, actually, scientifically speaking, and I try to be scientific oriented as much as possible. Scientifically speaking, it is impossible for any physical object or physical entity to travel at the speed of light without changing the entire substance of that entity or that object. Because it's impossible, physically impossible for an object to retain its same shape while traveling at that high rate of speed from elsewhere, from outer space to here. The only possibility is that they may have found out a way to suddenly materialize into our dimension and then dematerialize from our dimension. And, you know, even physical theorists such as Michio Kaku said many times that it's impossible for them to travel as we know traveling, what travel means to space, without using some kind of a manipulation of time and space. Well, you know, basically, it's safe to say that we're dealing with some sentient entities that exist in this humongous universe. These sentient entities are extra-dimensional entities, and by sentient, I mean they know, they have feeling, and they know what's right or wrong. These entities exist in this entire cosmos, but the problem is that you know, some of them may have bad intentions or malevolent. So I have always believed, especially since after reading books by Jack Willey and John A. Keel in the 1970s, the late 1970s, I began also to subscribe to not the extraterrestrial hypothesis of the origin of the UFO phenomenon, but extra-dimensional origin of this phenomena, and that is the current tendency. So what's happening is this. You see a lot of drones right now in New Jersey and other places, and you know, people are getting hyped up, and you go to the internet and you see so many headlines and articles, and it's all about fear. You know, it's all about fear, and we have to be very careful, and we have to always take the scientific approach and decide everything by only by evidence. And so the evidence seems to be pointing that yeah, this phenomena seem to exist, but we still don't know the real nature of this phenomenon. But so this is the reason why I'm interested, and I live in this amazing state of New Mexico because New Mexico is the location where the United States military has been conducting the latest in military weapons technology in places such as White Sands missile ranges, and right now the most advanced laser weapon systems are being tested in White Sands, and even today. And New Mexico is a humongous state, the fifth largest state in the Union, but yet the entire population of this state is only 2 million, just 2 million. And it hasn't changed in the past 20 years. It stays 2 million because a lot of people don't know much about the state of New Mexico. And well, conveniently, it's a good thing. But New Mexico is an amazing location for the U.S. military to test a lot of things, not only including weapon systems, but also psychological operations program. It's being conducted, and maybe some of the psychological operations program may have been conducted in places like Dulce, New Mexico, years ago, or even up to recently too. So, we have to keep this in mind, that, Ryan, that we're talking about something that it's so unbelievable, but yet it has to be addressed.
Absolutely. Norio, what specifically, I've done some research into things from the Montauk Project all the way to the Gateway Process, these different things of astral projection the military is using to try to spy, try to communicate, all these different aspects of it. There's all kinds of documentation in declassified documents that our military is involved in that. And I've always thought that part of that also might be an attempt to communicate with these interdimensional beings that you're talking about. Is that what you're thinking, or any thoughts about that?
I think so. I think there have been attempts, even now, I think, to communicate with these entities, and I don't know the result of this, but it seems like these entities themselves could be helping the governmental agencies to how best to spread their presence without causing panic. And well, some people say that right now these so-called drone-looking things are creating, such a commotion. And but the thing is this: I have often thought in recent times that these entities know how to replicate human technology, and so in the late 1800s, many people witnessed airships that weren't there in those times, but yet airship sightings began in the 1800s. And then one interesting thing is that in modern times, in the early 1980s, many people in Pennsylvania and the east coast of America were witnessing flights of humongous black triangular craft. And I came to the conclusion that maybe these entities were trying to simulate or duplicate for example, things like F-117s and B-2 bombers, which were at that time in 1980s were in the developing stages, but yet these entities, for some reason or other, try to simulate these human technologies and started to, creating those human-looking technologies on purpose to, for some strange reason. So who knows? Some of these, what appears to be drones, could be the replication by these entities to create similar human-looking drones, as a step-by-step process to lessen the panic in the future when they actually reveal themselves. So this may be a crazy notion, but I have thought of this quite often, and because this is a whole mystery, and anybody that, by the way, that says there are no mysteries in this universe, they don't know what they're talking about, because this world is filled with mysteries still unsolved.
Absolutely.
We have to admit it.
Absolutely. So let me ask you a question, a final question, if you don't mind. What, in your opinion, and I don't think there's a wrong answer, I don't think there's a right answer to this, but in your opinion, you talk about aliens, you talk about the big reveal, the coming out party, so to speak. Do you believe that at some point that will happen? There will be disclosure based upon aliens making themselves known.
I believe that. That is the only way of disclosure, because no government will initiate the disclosure. The so-called disclosure will only happen when the entities themselves decide to disclose their presence in a global scale. This sounds like science fiction, but, we are slowly being conditioned to accepting such possibility, and so the United States government will never disclose anything, only the entities, if they really exist, and I think there's possibility of their existence. Only the entities themselves will initiate the disclosure in the very near future, and we don't know what the very near future is. It could be 10 years from now, 30 years from now, or it could be next month. It could be 2025.
Yeah.
Who knows? Because I have heard some strange things about the year 2025, even from aerospace specialists who told that, and this was around 1993, who said that they cannot tell anything about this whole phenomena until 2025, which was a very strange thing, to say for an aerospace person. But who knows what's going to happen next week? Who knows what's going to happen in the next 30 days? Who knows? Because we just don't know, And this is the reason why this is so interesting, Ryan, and I appreciate your interest in this, and I appreciate your take on this, without being dogmatic about anything. And this is why I also am into this. I don't want to make any dogmatic statements that this is it, but I just take, the possibilities and bring this out.
Well, anyway, I hope you will listen to the entire interview, and I put the link in the comment section of this video.